So we're live. Hey, yeah, so welcome everyone. This is our third hacking session and we're going to be doing some live coding. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, welcome. And yeah, so we've been working on a few things. We haven't really started coding. We've just been trying to figure out which problem we wanted to solve. So in the first week, for example, we were looking at data sets and how to use this data marketplace, which is called Ocean. And then last week, we kind of narrowed in on the project that we wanted to work on, which was generative art. So create some generative art using StyleGAN. And the plan is to retrain StyleGAN on CryptoPunks and then, I don't know, see what sort of cool images we can create. And so I guess maybe we can start with introductions. So yeah, just I don't know, 30 seconds each about who you are, what your background is, what brought you here? Are you, a data scientist or non-technical, interested for other reasons? And so I guess I'll go first. So I'm Richard. I'm a machine learning engineer by background, and been working on this project Algovera for a while, where the idea is basically to create tools for data scientists in Web3. So the way that we use data sets and train models is quite different with some of these new technologies like data marketplaces and private AI technologies and coordination tools and things like that. And so the idea is that of Algovera is that it makes it easier for data scientists. And we're trying to build a community of data scientists where we can build cool apps together and then share the rewards between all of us with no middleman like a tech company. So that's my intro. I'll pass it over to Hitesh.
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Hitesh. I started the project with Richard. My background is computer science. I'm doing my master's in computer science now. I'm also dabble a little bit in blockchain development, so sort of a mix of that. And I've been interested in sort of startups for a few years now, and sort of working on this project has been something that we found really interesting, and very sort of excited to explore this idea with y'all. I'll pass it along to Keaton.
Awesome. Hey folks, my name's Keaton. I have been an operations lead at a tech company here in Boston, United States for the past 6 years, and have been doing some software engineering on the side, and just recently moved over to doing some more focused full-time work with Algovera. Currently focusing on tracking compensation and reputation tools. So that'll be maybe one thing we'll talk about a little bit up at the top here. But yeah, passionate about the Web3 paradigm and super excited to see how we can change some AI and data science workflows with certain Web3 tools. So super excited to be here. Yeah, I guess I can pass it over to Chris.
Hey guys, I'm Chris. Right now I'm working as a data scientist in computer vision. I have a lot more kind of AI chops than blockchain, but I'm kind of trade crypto. I'm interested in the space, and this is kind of I'm going to come to learn it. My AI experience has been generative models, observational cosmology, document analysis. It's a great toolbox to have, and it'll be really interesting to see how I can use it in Web3 and blockchain and so on. So looking forward to that. I'll pass it to Victor.
Yeah, so as well, I'm a machine learning computer vision engineer. The company recently I'm kind of finishing up my PhD, was focused again computer vision and biometrics, and at the end I kind of switched to guns and studying their capabilities and how we can use them in our training techniques. So yeah, I'm interested to see how we can use these in Web3 as well. So I guess I can pass it to Jakub.
Hi everyone, I'm Jakub. I'm currently a maths and physics undergrad. I'm also working as an open web fellow for Absentia, which is another DAO that's focused on creating a framework for decentralizing science. So I'm running different token simulations for them. And I've also been getting involved with Algovera. I'm really interested in AI and neuroscience and intersection of the two fields. And I've recently started getting into private AI as well. And I'm really excited about the available tools for AI and Algovera's mission to create a sort of a system for decentralized AI. So yeah, excited to be here, and I guess I'll pass it over to Wong.
Okay, so it's not Wong. I'm using my girlfriend's computer and I forgot to sign out. So this is Tarun, and I'm essentially a research engineer for a public lab in Singapore. Most of my work has to do with machine translation and different text generation models. And like Sid, one of my friends introduced me to Richard and Hitesh, who got me really excited about the idea. So I'm still new to the Web3 space. So I'm trying to see how I can put my data science skills and do something nice here. Oh, one more thing, I'm very interested in human in the loop kind of learning. So and that's what I kind of do at work also. So I hope maybe Algovera can, change things in that direction, because there are lots of gaps there. Yeah.
Who do you want to pass to?
So I'll pass to Erin.
Hi, good morning. Let's see, I'm Erin. I'm also in kernel with Richard. I'm currently working on so many projects. I have a nonprofit I'm turning into a DAO, an investment fund that's like half collector DAO, half regular centralized stuff that I'm trying to figure out how to decentralize. Background is in AR/VR. I have an O'Reilly book on the subject. My chapters are on data visualization in health tech, med tech, biotech, advising all of the other chapters related to RL, reinforcement learning. Also was a student of Rachel Thomas and Jeremy Howard, who had one of the ethics courses at USF, the University of San Francisco. They're the co-founders of Fast.ai. When I bring up blockchain ethics in spaces around data ethics, I just get weird looks. So I was so thrilled to meet Richard. I can't wait to see more that they're developing for their startup. And I guess my only last thing I'll mention is primary interest in terms of creative, just because a lot of the artists I'm working with are either hip hop artists, or the other person that I'm working with is, if you know Baby Groot, the inventor or father of Baby Groot, senior development artist at Marvel, Anthony Francisco. I'm just looking at every space between AR, VR, NFTs, etc. And I think what's really interesting is you're seeing a lot of folks from AI sort of breeding, not only with AR, VR, but within the blockchain space. So I'm definitely in that intersection of creative as well. And training, software engineer, computational designer, and I had a whole other career in civic engagement. So yeah.
And who do you
I
want to
guess.
pass? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So hi everyone. I'm just going to hide behind my handle for now. You can of course look me up from my GitHub. You can find my GitHub and link it up that way. So I'm a clinician by profession. So I do surgical neurophysiology. I have a background in neuroscience, and my interest, I've been doing R for a while now, for a few years now. I can't claim to be an expert. It's just on the side. But yeah, so this was the only group that I found on Ocean that's actually trying to, do some, actual work on. I mean, I couldn't really find a lot of people who were doing the, what I'm interested in is compute to data. So I couldn't find a group, and I found you guys. So I'm really glad to be here. So.
I guess I'm next. Hey everyone, so this is Aditya. I work as a software engineer at a tech company. I did some data science stuff when I was back in college, but haven't really I don't really do any machine learning stuff anymore at my day job. Got involved in Web3 last May and found the idea of marrying data science and Web3 pretty interesting. So just here to learn and see where this goes.
Great. So I think that's everyone, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I gave a bit of a brief background on what we've done already. If anyone like missed our last few lessons, they're all on our YouTube channel in the playlist. But at the same time, if I skip a step and don't say it, like just jump out and ask questions, I suppose. So the point that we got to last time was, let me just share my screen. We set up a GitHub repo in the last week, and I've added a good few people to it. And I've just added a README as well. So like you can get all of the links to like the hacking sessions, the channel in our Discord, the YouTube playlist for previous sessions. I'm going to add some installation instructions here as well, and then just some background on the project. And also some resources as well. So Holly's not here today, but she's an artist who has worked with StyleGAN before. And so some of these resources will give you an idea about her previous projects and also some people that she knows. So this is still looking a bit empty. You know, this is week 3 of our hacking sessions and we still haven't coded, but the good news is we're going to start today. And so I think I'm going to make the first push of code after we get off this session. But before we dive into that, I suppose maybe Hitesh and Keaton, do you want to talk about the SourceCred, which you've set up?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that we're doing at the outset here of these hacking sessions is trying to set up tools that would allow us to track contributions to the project and capture value creation. One of the tools mainly used in the space, particularly around DAO operations, is a tool called SourceCred. Basically, the general idea behind it is that it tracks repo history for various GitHub repos, which we can configure, and then it runs the contributions through an algorithm based on weights we can decide as a community to assign what's called cred, which is basically meant to be a rough measure of the amount of value that folks have added to a project. So we have that up and running. See, Aaron's looking for the GitHub link. I think we can drop that as well. In addition to that, I'm going to drop the link to our front end hosted SourceCred instance. So apologies for the domain name. This is one other thing I'll note is this is very experimental. We're testing out tools to see what's the best way to capture value creation in this decentralized data science workflow. So just want to throw that out there that folks contribute code, not only making pushes and commits, but also reviewing code, tracking issues, things like that. That's all going to get tracked in our SourceCred instance, and then you'll be assigned a cred rating, which again is meant to represent how much value you've added to the project. So I will also note, like I said, this is very experimental. We're still working out the best way to track value creation, and this tool is really flexible. So as we progress in this, you know, and as you take a look at that public front end site, if you think like your cred score isn't exactly representative of the work you've been doing, definitely let me know. Aaron's got some experience with SourceCred. That's awesome. I might connect with you later, Aaron. Yeah, so again, the idea is to be able to track as we're sort of hacking away on this. So if anyone has like, again, questions or concerns about how we're implementing SourceCred, the weights of various actions, definitely let me know. Like I said, this is very configurable. And like I said, we are also experimenting, trying to find the best tool that works here. So yeah, any questions, feel free to drop them in the Discord, or I guess unmute and let me know right now. Cool. Well, super excited to start working on this. My door is always open on Discord. Feel free to hit me up, and happy to chat more.
Nice. Discord. I love it. So basically, like, the plan is to share ownership of whatever we create at the end of this. And, you know, there's not that many models that are getting used in the Ocean ecosystem at the moment. And like, one of the few places that machine learning is getting used in Web3 at the moment is in these generative art projects. But what happens is that people run these models off chain, and then they just put the images on chain as NFTs. And so like, what we have the idea of doing is putting the models on chain as well, and creating a token for the model. So if someone's an NFT enthusiast, for example, they could buy the token for that model, or maybe stake on the model and earn yield and things like that. And so what we're hoping to do ultimately is to attract artists to the Ocean ecosystem. And if we have a proof of concept of how we can put a generative model on chain, maybe then we can, see if artists are interested in opening up more value for their work. And maybe even eventually we could put the data sets on chain as well. So you could have a value flow every time someone buys an NFT. Maybe some value could flow back to the people who own the algorithm tokens, and maybe even the people who contributed data. And also that could open up collaborations between artists. So at the moment, artists' data sets and algorithms are like a part of their IP. It's they put a lot of work into them, and maybe they don't want to share. But at the same time, maybe they want to collaborate with other artists. And so if we can figure out a way that they can do this privately without, losing control of their data set, maybe that would be interesting for them. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. So yes, so what we decided last week was we were trying to figure out what data set we were going to train on. And because like a lot of the problems with using machine learning in Web3 haven't been ironed out, like we haven't figured out some of the compute issues and stuff like that, we decided to go for an image data set that had a small resolution, like a few pixels. And so the one that we came up with was CryptoPunks, basically. And this is kind of like what happened back in the day in machine learning was that people all worked on these really low pixel count image data sets. So one of the famous ones is Cypher 10, which is just basically numbers with a few amount of pixels. So what we're trying to do is maybe make CryptoPunks the Cypher 10 of Web3, which I think would be really funny. So this could be, the data set that everyone refers back to or something. But what I did offline was Holly sent me a data set of all of the CryptoPunks. And so I've now uploaded that to the Ocean Marketplace. And this, you can see that here. So there's no images on the Ocean data set, unfortunately, Ocean Marketplace, but you can basically like download a sample. And I made it as a private data set as well. So you can't download the whole thing when it's a private data set. You just make a small sample available. And so you can download it here. And I can send a link for this as well, in case you want to check. I can't get back into Zoom. Okay, I'll share, hold on. Maybe someone else can share the link, or I guess you don't have it. Okay, I don't know. Zoom is acting weird. Oh wait, here's chat. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so CryptoPunks is up on the Ocean Marketplace now. So I am going to show you how you can use that as well in a Jupyter notebook. And so if you want to use the graphical user interface, go back to our first week of the hacking sessions. And what that shows you how to do is how to publish a data set on the Ocean Marketplace, and also how to publish an algorithm, and also how to download. So I recommend going back and watching that, but that's basically what I've already done now for CryptoPunks. And so what I've been working with today is a Jupyter notebook. And this, because there's a few things that like might be new to some people. And so we really want to start at step one, basically. Like maybe there are some people who haven't installed a Metamask wallet for the first time, for example. And so what this walkthrough will do is like show you how to set up your wallet and get tokens from faucets and all that sort of stuff. Does anyone have any questions so far?
So there's 10,000 different cyberpunks out there?
The CryptoPunks, yeah, there's 10,000.
Oh my God, okay.
Yeah, and they all cost like $500,000 or something, so you can do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're 24 by 24 pixels as well. So maybe I can show you what they look like if it doesn't crash my computer. So punks. Yes, this is all of them. So this is what the clear background, for example. And we also have like teal backgrounds, because we don't know which is going to work better, right? So this is all of them together, but then we have them separate in these folders as well. Any more
And
questions?
Hey, oh yeah, hey Richard, we had a question in the chat if you had already pushed the Jupyter notebook.
Yeah, for some reason I can't find my chat.
I'm keeping an eye on it.
So strange. You know, in Zoom like minimizes and then you can't see. Maybe I'll stop sharing for a second and then I can. I haven't actually pushed this Jupyter notebook yet, so actually there's no link to it. Just for the data set, there is. But what you can do to get to the data set is you can probably just search. So if you go to the Ocean Marketplace, market.oceanprotocol.com, you can select which network you want to search for data sets on. So you have loads like Ethereum, there's Polygon, which is layer 2, Binance Smart Chain, Moon River, which is an EVM in the Polkadot ecosystem, Energy Web Chain, and then also you have some test nets. So if you tick the ETH Rinkeby, and you can probably search CryptoPunks. Yeah. Oh, someone already has CryptoPunks.
Just drop the link there. I think that should work in the Zoom chat for Ocean Marketplace, CryptoPunks.
Yeah, so basically the first thing you need to do is to install your MetaMask wallet. So there's a few guides on how to do that. This is what MetaMask looks like for those of you who don't know. And this is like your login for all of Web3 basically. And you can switch. So I'm on the Rinkeby testnet, for example, and I've gone to the faucet. So there's links to the faucet here. So a faucet is a place that gives you tokens, like test tokens that you can use, because like all of these tokens are fake because we're on the testnet. And so I've got some like test Ocean, I've got some test ETH, and that just means that I can do things like buy data sets and publish them, for example. Yeah, so you can like set up your MetaMask, you can go to the faucet and get some test tokens. And then what you can do is go to the Ocean Marketplace and you can, buy data sets that are on the test networks. And so what we've started to do is like upload some different data sets under the name Algovera. So we've got the CryptoPunks, we've got like ImageNet, we've got some key points examples. And I guess the idea in future is that we would keep a collection of different data sets that our community use quite often, and like make them as easy as possible to download and things like that.
So there's there's two data sets that come up when you search for CryptoPunks.
I saw that. Yeah, someone else must have uploaded it.
That
was the first time I saw it.
It was on Polygon though. The other ones I think on Polygon. So yours, so the one that you put up is on Rinkeby, correct?
Yeah. I just put it on the testnet because so CryptoPunks is public. I guess anyone can download all of the images from CryptoPunks. So it doesn't make sense. Maybe someone has compiled them together, I guess, but I don't know why someone would pay for that. And it doesn't make sense for us to put it up as a private data set, but the reason that we're doing it is as a proof of concept. So it means that we'll be able to, use StyleGAN with data sets that aren't public. Like if an artist doesn't want to share a data set, for example.
And now, so can I download the entire data set or just the sample here?
From Argo, just the sample. And
okay,
so
gotcha.
Select download sample. It'll come down as a tar, like a zip file, and then you can unzip it and look at. So I think I can show you what it looks like. So you should just get like 2 from the clear backgrounds and 2 from the teal backgrounds, basically. So the idea with the sample data is that it should match the format of the full data set. So for example, as a data scientist, I want to write code that works on a data set. And so if I didn't have access to any sample data, it would be very difficult to write code that could run on data. And so the idea with the sample data is maybe we can download that locally and then iterate with some code and just keep like working quickly and not having to pay tokens and stuff. and we can write some code that works on the data set, the sample data. And then once we're confident it works on the sample data, we can send it to the full data set to run.
So, I mean, obviously this data set is the one that you've downloaded, but if we wanted to kind of make sure, that the data that we're going to work on is in fact, what it is, what do we do? How do we check that out?
Yeah. So how do we know that the provider is going to like give us the right thing? Is that what you mean?
That's right. Yeah.
I guess like you'll just have like trusted providers. And so someone can build up a reputation as being like a good data provider. And so maybe Algovera, for example, like if people have downloaded our data sets before, like they can see our GitHub repo and our Twitter and maybe our website and think we're an official, like good, reputable provider, then maybe that's how it works. But so this has been an issue in the past as well on Ocean. So there's like leaderboards to try and show who's like which are reputable data sets and all this sort of stuff. So this is one from the Ocean ecosystem called Rug Pull Index. And it kind of shows like the top data sets. The other thing as well in Ocean is that people can, so you have these data tokens, right? And if we want to buy a data token, we need some pair of tokens that we can swap between. And that's what Ocean acts as. So if we want to buy a data set, we first get some Ocean tokens, and then we can swap our Ocean tokens for data tokens. And then when we train on the data set, we consume the data token. And so we need people to like provide liquidity between these two different tokens. And so people can basically provide like, some Ocean tokens and some data tokens. And it means that people can swap in and out of Ocean and data tokens. And that's a signal of curation. So people shouldn't provide liquidity on data sets that aren't high quality. And so you basically have these like curators who maybe, know who are the good providers. And then that can give a signal about which data sets are the good ones to download. Does that make sense?
So yes, yes, it makes sense. I guess, all right. So StyleGAN2 is now we are going to train StyleGAN2 on this data set, right? Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And then after we train StyleGAN2, we can actually create like an algorithm token for that. And that means people can buy access to the algorithm and things like that. So it's quite a different way of thinking about things from what a data scientist is used to, like all of this idea of like buying tokens and all that sort of stuff. What we're used to is just like, going to a link and downloading the data. And so this is one thing that's quite different in Web3.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so basically this is just saying you can download the sample. And this is all using the graphical user interface. So what you can do is go to the Ocean Marketplace, download the sample data and just download it and have a look at it. But what if we don't want to use the user interface? There's a Python library for downloading data sets and stuff like that. And I guess that's kind of our goal in the long run, is to hide a lot of this Web3 stuff from data scientists, because it is very new. And the more that we can do for data scientists, I think the more likely they are to use the Ocean Marketplace. And so like, how much of this stuff can we hide away that isn't important for, training machine learning models and stuff? And that's what we kind of want to do with the software that we develop. And so, yeah, so this is using the Ocean Python library, basically, which you can install. There's some like installation instructions. By the way, like even like there's marketplaces coming to that don't use Web3 as well. But the issue is that you have a middleman, basically. And so there's a few different marketplaces for computer vision, for example, and people can make data sets available. But I don't think they provide like private AI infrastructure at the moment. And also, if your data set is, if it's valuable, do you really want the middleman who is the marketplace provider to see that data? And so there are some advantages to using Web3 and blockchain as a place to like swap data. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, cool. So, okay, so with the Ocean Python library, basically we need to access the blockchain somehow. So Ocean runs on top of Ethereum, and so we need to access the Ethereum blockchain, and so that all happens through like this config file, which I'm going to upload as well into the GitHub repo. And basically all that does is just gives you some parameters. So this is like the repo that I'm going to upload. I'm going to have the notebooks in here, and in the notebooks there's going to be a config file, and that basically just specifies which network you want to run on. So this is like Rinkeby, so that's just like choosing the testnet from the drop-down menu. And this is like the search provider, and then some other providers as well. Like one of these is compute, I think, for example. And so, yeah, in this cell, we're just loading in the configuration parameters basically. And so I can run this. And yeah, so that all works. And so the next thing we need to do is, it depends if we want to use our like test wallet, for example. We need to basically access our wallet from Python. And so the thing that we need to do is we need to load in our private key somehow. And the thing with private keys is you don't want to share your private keys with anyone. So, and you also don't want to have it in like a GitHub repo or anything like that. And so what people tend to do is they will go through the command line, and before they start, like for example, before I started this notebook, I would write this bash command, which is basically export my test key and give it my private key. And so what I would need to do is go into my wallet and account details, and I can actually export my private key. And I would do that from the command line before I enter the notebook, export my test key equals this. And then that means that my private key is an environmental variable. And the advantage of that is that your private key won't be in your notebook when you push to GitHub, which means that people can access like whatever's in your wallet basically. And so I did that before I ran this notebook, so it should be okay. And there's more details here as well about like security and stuff. And this just basically loads, it makes a wallet with the private key, my private key. And then you can see that this is my public address. So for those who aren't familiar with like public and private keys as well, the private one is the one that you don't tell anyone about, but then you can share your public key as much as you want. And that's the one that people can send money to. And so you can see like by entering my private key, it gets my public key, and that matches my public key here. So you can see like 233 is the start, and then E43B is the end. And so what we can also do is like we can print how many tokens are in our wallet. And so there's some libraries here. So this just tells me what my balance of ETH is in test tokens. So this isn't real again. And also my balance of test Ocean as well. So you can see 37.79, for example. Does this make sense so far, or like are some people lost? Or is there any questions? Okay, cool. Yeah, so like we can print what our balances are, for example. And now, like from the command line, we have the ability to like download datasets through our wallet. And so what we can do is we can go to the Ocean, to the CryptoPunks dataset. We can grab the identifier. So this is like a unique identifier for your dataset. So we can grab this, for example, or we could search. There's like, there's a function to search by name and that sort of thing. But yeah, using the identifier, for example, we can like resolve that identifier and it will find the CryptoPunks data set. And like, what's the name of the token and like all this sort of stuff. And from that, we can grab the, from that, we can grab the download link. And we can use this library to download. So I've actually already downloaded it. I'm going to delete it. So download from the link. Then we can unzip it. Now we have this. And that basically gets us to the same place that we had through the user interface. But the advantage of doing it in code, of course, is that we can automate it. And so, you know, there's quite a lot of steps here. So my question is like, how much of this can we, you know, just hide away from the user? And I really like the way that Fast AI do it, for example. So I don't know who's familiar with Fast AI here, but basically you can just, like, if you want to download a data set, for example, you just, it's like one line of code. And this, and then you have your data set. And so can we like replicate something like this, for example, where we can just say, you know, download data, CryptoPunks, and then we have access to the sample data straight away? I think that would be something that would be really useful. And how Fast AI do it, for example, is they basically just have this file that keeps a list of all the URLs. So like we could create a library of something like this that has the links to all of the data sets that we think data scientists will want to use. And then like within like maybe one line of code in a notebook, you could just write, you know, download CryptoPunks and have access to it straight away. So I think that would be really useful for data scientists. Okay, cool. So we've downloaded the directory now. So we can have a look at what's inside. So we have the punks with clear backgrounds, for example, and also the punks with teal backgrounds. And we can search for what's inside those folders. So there's 2 images in each, as we saw from here. And we can just plot them basically. And so this is basically the sample data. And so what we might do in our Jupyter notebook after this, and like this is probably what we're going to do next week or something like that, is, you know, if we wanted to train StyleGAN, for example, we could like load StyleGAN in the notebook and make sure that it runs on this sample data set. Maybe even like train it to overfit on that data, for example. And then once we're happy that it works on the sample data, we can actually send it off to the full data set to do the whole, to do all of the training. And there's some other steps as well. Like often we want to process data. So like for the StyleGAN repo, for example, which is, I don't know if I have it open actually. So they have this code. So this is StyleGAN PyTorch. And they have some code for like processing data sets and stuff. So like this is obviously pretty typical with machine learning, is that you need to process a raw data set into a certain format to be used by the model. And so if you use 2 different types of models, they might train on the same data set, but maybe each repo like processes it in a different way. And so something that might be useful is that, you know, on the Ocean Marketplace, for example, we could store the raw data set as a data token, but then maybe some data scientist processes that data set into something useful. And maybe we also want to publish that processed data on the marketplace as well. And maybe we want to process it in a different way for use with a different model and all this sort of stuff. And so maybe for a single raw data set, we might have like different people processing it in different ways and adding value. And Okay, cool. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so for the next steps with StyleGAN, are we gonna try to do some like transfer learning approach to it, or are we gonna be training it from scratch?
I think we'll probably try and train from scratch is what I was thinking. I think that's what people tend to do with StyleGAN, but yeah, I guess transfer learning, I'm not too familiar whether people do transfer learning with StyleGAN, but I think that would also be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It's just, but the StyleGAN is huge, and it was developed originally to support higher resolution images. So I'm also worried it might be a bit overkill for like, well, 24 by 24 cyberpunks. I don't know, but
you could be right. Yeah.
It's just something else to consider as well.
For sure.
No, but yeah.
I'm
I
definitely
think you'll have to change a few things in the architecture, because I think the lowest you can go is 128 or 256.
Okay.
So it kind of goes gradually, like from, I think, maybe 4x4, then 8x8, and goes up till higher resolutions, if I'm not mistaken. So like you can definitely just go from like just till 24 by 24.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we need to modify it a bit, or maybe even like Chris said, maybe we need to go with a simpler architecture. I'm definitely open to all of these things. For sure. Yeah. And was all of that clear for people? Like, I know the data sets, like downloading the data sets and all this sort of stuff is quite different.
I had a question in your Python code. Where did you actually pay for the data set?
Oh, yeah.
What
Okay. So we haven't paid for it yet because we just downloaded the sample data.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But yeah, like next week we'll pay for it. So that there'll be another notebook for that.
Got you. Okay.
I was thinking like this would be a good place to start. And like if people can, like, even if it was like too much to take in, if people can go through this notebook in their own time and like set up the Metamask wallet and all that sort of stuff and just run through and see the different steps and be comfortable with them, I think that would leave us in a good position to start next week.
Yeah, that sounds very good.
Perfect. So I can like push this, and then yeah, like next week we're going to get to the point where we're running this compute, privately, and so paying for the data set, sending the model, and we need to set up like a Docker file and all this sort of stuff, send it over the network to where the private data set is located, do some training, and then return the results and stuff. So the plan is to go through the whole thing from end to end, basically.
So what would be a good thing to do during this week? Like, I mean, yeah, download the notebook and then maybe work through it and do one then.
Download the notebook, go through the notebook, make sure you're comfortable with all the different steps. Then maybe like, I guess what I'm going to be working on is trying to process the data set into the right format to be used by StyleGAN. So like basically running, there's like a data set tool. Yeah, so basically this file just converts the raw data into a processed data set, which is like not that different. It just has a particular directory structure and things like that. And so what I'm thinking is that we might be able to publish this as an algorithm, as like a data processing algorithm. And then once we publish this as a data processing algorithm, we can make this algorithm run on the raw data, which will create a processed data set. And then maybe we can publish that processed data set on the marketplace as well. And like that might be a way that data scientists can add value in the Ocean ecosystem by like processing it into some useful format and then publishing the results or something like that. And so maybe that's something like what we can do is just stay like talking offline. And if people want to go further than the notebooks, we can chat about what the best ways might be. Also, like if the model we're using is too complex, for example, that would be an interesting conversation to continue. Like we're very much open to suggestions in the direction that this should go.
It's very cool. Are you guys gonna start throwing cards on the GitHub that people can start taking up and implementing?
For sure. I think that's a really good idea as well. Yeah, like I want to get a project set up on GitHub with some issues and stuff. And I'll just come up with some that spring to mind, but then like other people can add issues as well. And yeah, just keep active and chat and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I can set that up this week or like even, yeah, maybe tomorrow or something. And yeah, and then we can start to like test out SourceCred as well. So, you know, track different contributions and like just try and visualize contributions and all this sort of stuff. That'll be really interesting. Yeah, so I'll set up a project here with some issues and stuff. Cool. Yeah, but like if anyone is like stuck or has any questions, just reach out and like I'll reply like as quickly as I can. And like, yeah, just explain to me stuff that isn't clear as well. You know, I know it's quite complicated now, but like I said, that's one thing we want to fix. So like, what's the best way to like hide as much of this stuff as possible from the user? Like, do you like the idea of the fast AI download dataset? And like, should we try and hide all this stuff? Like how much is too much? And like based on how you perceived it, like maybe you can give some feedback about what needs to be easier for data scientists to do. And we can start to write libraries to help out with that, you know?
Yeah, I think they're pretty akin to using notebooks, but we can definitely make some libraries that makes using notebooks easier. Like, for instance, connecting your wallet, there can be a few fields that come up in the notebook cell that people just input information into, stuff like that.
Exactly. That'd be really cool. Yeah. Yeah, and we can like test it out, you know, like we can try a few different things and like see what different people think. And yeah, it's about getting that right balance of like hiding the stuff away that we need while also showing the important stuff. Cool. I think that's probably it for this week, unless does anyone else have any questions, comments? Sweet.
So the best way is the GitHub, right? Or the channel on Discord. What is a good way of communicating between people who are doing this?
Yeah, I think a combination of both. Like, I think the generative art channel is the one that we want to use mostly. We have a hacking sessions channel as well, which is fine, but we're just kind of using that for like announcements and stuff. So if we could use the generative art channel for communication, and then even like then GitHub for issues and stuff. I don't know, Hitesh and Keaton, what else do you think? Like we use a Trello board, or I guess GitHub issues is probably better than Trello, right?
I think GitHub issues probably works best, just because we're also tracking all the contribution. So if it doesn't work, we can always use some other alternative. But we can start off with GitHub, because I think a lot of people are familiar with GitHub.
I would suggest look into Shortcut. They used to be called Clubhouse. That's another good one, because especially when it's like a really multifaceted organization and project, it kind of accommodates that better rather than having all your projects like cards and like development and then, you know, moving across the Kanban. You get to separate them a bit better, and they have like higher levels of story making abstraction as well.
Interesting. What's it called? Clubhouse?
Another one to look into. It's called Shortcut.
Shortcut. Yeah, I have it up here. Looks cool. I'll check it out. Thanks, Chris.
Nice. Sounds great. Yeah, like anything that people think is a good way to like improve collaboration, like shared docs, like, or like let us know if the channel isn't working. I guess that's one of the things we want to test out, is to see how people want to coordinate and communicate.
Google Sheets for the win.
Sweet. Okay, cool.
Notion's terrible for everything I was trying to do with Google Sheets, though, I will say. And I like Airtable because it has more space, but it's not cross-platform. So we're kind of stuck with Google Sheets.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Wait, question. Did someone say something about shortcut and GitHub?
Chris,
Yeah.
Can you send a link for that?
I don't know if it really integrates with GitHub, but formerly Clubhouse, but we all know what Clubhouse is now. So
Yeah, I get too many push notifications for Clubhouse. It's spammy. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, the other Clubhouse, not Clubhouse, the social media network. Got it. Yeah, this is a lot cleaner. There's also ClickUp, but I have mixed feelings about that, or just a lot of productivity tools. So
nice.
Yeah.
The other thing we had an idea for was like we were thinking about spinning up a DAO for the working group with all the different contributors as members. I guess this is more for like when we're going to publish the algorithm, but that would act as like governance. You know, we could have votes on, you know, how people wanted to govern the model. For example, maybe we could have like a shared Gnosis safe, and Algovera could put like a small, like, I don't know, $1,000 or something. And we could all vote on how best to use those funds and things like that. And just, yeah, I guess like when we're going to launch the algorithm, for example, I think I don't want people to trust me that, you know, we're going to distribute the value to everyone. It would be really cool if we came up with a way that ensured that the value was shared with everyone and everyone could come to a consensus on like what happened with the algorithm in future. So I think that would be really cool as well.
I just have a last question for Richard is, what do you see your path to fundraising here? Because I feel like a lot of investors in the AI space that have been frustrated with centralization, like I could see so much potential for this. It was just what you're doing. I'm so excited for you. But I wanted to know what you were thinking.